What's cracking, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute since my last vlog. I was working on Zoning Out, my new single with Tucker Perry, which is out now everywhere. If you'd like to take a listen or take a look at my new music video, I'll leave a link below. Please check it out. So as I mentioned in my last video, today I'm going to talk about my experiences of busking in Australia and Japan. So what is busking? Busking is a form of entertainment on the streets for tips. It's pretty simple. And what I love about busking as a listener, as a person who's walking on the streets, is that you're exposed to certain types of performances and acts and singers and musicians that you may not typically go see voluntarily. You don't have to go to a particular venue or a cafe or a certain event. They're just there. And what I love about busking as a musician is there's no real consequence to it. And what I mean by that is there's no set audience. You know, people are walking by, they'll stop if they want to, and you know, they'll keep walking if they don't want to. And so you are able to kind of almost practice or workshop certain songs, maybe even originals. You can work on your audience interaction, maybe boost your self-esteem a little. So I think busking is such a good start if you're a beginner and any type of musician, really. It's such a different setting that can't really be emulated anywhere else. So if you watched my last vlog, I talked about the 5 main differences between Japan and Australia in the music industry. And this is also another part of it within busking is the culture of tipping. So in Japan, tipping is not a common practice. We don't do it in cafes or restaurants or shops. It's just not something that we do. And so therefore it doesn't really seep in to the busking culture either. So what I've noticed with Japanese people while they're watching buskers is that they're most comfortable with interacting with the artist and buying merch or tickets or whatever the artist is selling, rather than passing by and dropping coins or dropping notes. They feel that, you know, dropping a 100 yen coin, which is like $1 or $2, or 5 yen or whatever, is more of an insult than anything else. Whereas in Australia, you know, people, I've had people dump out their wallets and their pockets trying to get rid of coins because Australians don't like carrying a lot of money. And to me, that all adds up in the end. So I appreciate any type of money, whether it's, you know, 5 cents to whatever. So what I'm saying is, in Australia, I was able to use busking as a form of income, whereas in Japan, I feel as though that's a little less possible unless you're producing a lot of merch and, you know, have maybe a solid group of fans that follow you. So busking is technically, I guess, illegal. I mean, you won't get arrested for it, but police officers will tell you to kind of move along if you're creating too much of a disturbance. And the reason for that is Japan is an incredibly dense place. And so if you're blocking a walkway or a street and there are people gathering and making a lot of noise, then that's a hazard. So at the time I was trying to figure out how to busk, or even if I could, my mum actually found this audition form for Music Busker in Umekita, which was a project collaboration between Grand Front Osaka, which is a department store, and FM 802, which is a radio station here in Osaka. So the process was I had to fill out a form and I had to submit 2 demos. And at that time I only had Afterglow and Roseville Girls, so it was kind of perfect. So I think I only had like 1 or 2 days before I could submit it, and I actually like went to the radio station and handed it in because the post office wouldn't have made it in time. And so I fortunately got into the next round. I think I got an email or something like that, and the next round was a performance round. So I think there were about 13 artists that had gotten through to the next round. It wasn't quite sure how many artists were going to go through the final round and actually get the permit. So I got there, I was super nervous. I was less nervous about the performance aspect just because I've done it for so many years, but I was really scared about talking in Japanese and interacting with other artists and introducing myself. I really wasn't confident with that back then. Not even now, really. But my head was just like all over the place because of that. So I think it was like a draw of like what the order was going to be. And I picked second, not intentionally. And I was like, oh no, I'm second. But it was actually a good thing because I had it kind of got it over and done with. And I was able to kind of enjoy the rest of the night. So the time comes, the first band plays, and then I'm up. And the first song I play is Afterglow. And near the end of Afterglow, my guitar starts to crack a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, is it the lead? Is it the guitar? Is it the battery? I don't know. And so I was able to kind of safely finish Afterglow. And then I started to play Roseville Girls, and it was all crackly. It just carked it. Fortunately, the guy after me, he had a guitar prepared for his set. So I was able to borrow his, which I am forever grateful for. And I was able to play Roseville Girls safely. And then I was out of there. So I stayed for the rest of the night. Everyone was just fantastic. Everyone had their own kind of certain flair. But I think in the end, 6 artists had gotten through, including me, fortunately. And we were able to busk in front of Grand Front. So what the permit entails is that we are able to busk at certain points in front of Grand Front Osaka, and we are able to legally play and sell our merch. So when I started busking in Japan, I busked like I would have in Australia. And what I mean by that is I think we had like a 2 or 3 hour limit of how much we could book the space for. And I just played for as long as I could, the entire 2 or 3 hours that I was there. And I didn't have a lot of people stop by or buy anything. And I personally thought that it was because I didn't have a lot of fans in Japan, and I was singing English songs. So people maybe thought that I was not Japanese. But I was watching other buskers, and they were playing about 2 or 3 songs and then taking it, a break to sell merch and tickets or whatever. And when I started implementing that, I was a little bit more successful. And why I think that is because I was creating a space for people to come forward and talk to me. Japanese people are quite shy, quite polite, and so they didn't want to interrupt me in the middle of the set. Whereas in Australia, people would come up after a song, give me a tip or have a little chat with me, and then kind of move along. So when I created that space for talking, almost like permission to talk to me, I was a little bit more successful in gaining a few more fans, which was awesome. In Australia, I haven't busked in such a long time because I haven't been there for a while, but I love busking in Sydney. Out of maybe the 7 years I've busked, I don't think I've had like a horrible experience. I could probably say I haven't had a bad experience. They've all been either neutral or quite positive. I've had some interactions with some quirky characters, but no one who was like truly horrible. I started busking when I didn't even have an amp. I just had a guitar, and I would just like lay my case down and just sing. I wasn't super successful then because people couldn't hear me. But once I got the Roland Cube, which is like the busker's amp, I was a lot more successful, and it was a lot more fun. And I did it almost every weekend. After high school, I started busking with 2 friends of mine. And we created a band called Cartoon. We were kind of notorious around the Chatswood area, which is in the North Shore. We used to wear like onesies that I had bought from Japan, and it sounds super lame now, but it was kind of it back then. We busked in the city as well, and that was how we were able to be in contact with Channel 7, and there are some videos out there that we did with them, and I won't link them, but because they're a bit embarrassing, but they're out there somewhere. So if you find them, then good job. I bus primarily in like the city or Chatswood area, just because the permits around that place, those places, were quite easy to get. Most permits cost money. Some of them are yearly or monthly or even daily. But getting a permit isn't particularly difficult if you are able to contact the council, which is what I love about Australia, or Sydney in particular. Anyway, those are my experiences with busking in Japan and Australia. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.